ideas. From that, I went into theater, TV, film. From that, went into politics and essentially propaganda. From that, went into business and working with Fortune 500 CEOs. I've had G7 prime ministers and leaders as clients, some of the big stars of film and television as well. So I've seen a lot of different places and a lot of different people.
And who are some of the famous folks that you've been able to work for? Just reading your bio, I'm blown away. I'd love to figure out, like, all right, how does anybody get to work with the leader of a nation and helping them communicate better?
Well, you know, it's the old thing of, if I could tell you the names, then, you know, so there's a certain amount of discretion has to be done there. But look, when it comes to the companies that I've worked for, I mean, over COVID, just recently, I was working with the leadership of Zoom on how to show up well on Zoom. So look, I work with anybody, be they, you know, small in somebody's mind or big in somebody's mind, around how they show up and influence and persuade people. And it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you think you are. Everybody has a problem. Everybody has something to learn in how they can develop a better appearance to people, so people think and feel the right thing about them.
Now, obviously, you can tell that from this show. In case you're just listening and not watching, I usually show up to this show in my battle dress, in the same stuff that I wore when I was on the battlefield studying high performance in troops across the country, and was able to work alongside some British Royal Marines as well. Those are some tough cookies, let me tell you. So I'm a firm believer in showing up intentionally. But I'm curious to know, how do you see salespeople do this well and do it poorly? Because you get to work with organizations and sales teams as well. So curious to get your experience and how you've seen salespeople really mess up how they show up, and the ones that do it well, what are they doing differently?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you say you've shown up here purposely in your uniform, let's say. And I don't mean, you know, that you still think, you know, you're in the armed services, but there's a sense there of, this is my intention. Okay, this is the idea I want to put across, because I think it serves everybody best. I'm the same. I'm wearing my uniform today. Well, you know, if you see me on a stage, this is what I'll be wearing. If you see me on the Dr. Phil show, this is what I'll be wearing. If I'm standing in front of a prime minister, this is what I'll be learning. This is what I'll be wearing. It's the same person every time. I think all of us, including salespeople, often make a mistake in not making those choices, not making those choices bigger, and not keeping them really tidy. So look, you make the choice, Sean, to go, I'm going to wear my uniform. Yeah. And then you boldly make that choice. You know, you're not going to show up at the next show going, maybe I'll do something different. Yeah. And you're also going, hey, I'm going to wear my uniform, but also I'm not going to add things to try and make it acceptable to everybody. You know, so maybe I'll add a jacket over the top of it so it's acceptable to the business crowd, or, you know, maybe I'll put a tie around it to make it acceptable to, or maybe I'll just unzip it a little bit more to make it a little more casual. You made a choice. You've made that choice bigger. Okay, you're going to do it like that every time, and you're going to keep it tidy. You're not going to add stuff to make it palatable for everybody. I think if any salesperson out there can take that process, make a choice, make it bigger, keep it tidy. Who are you trying to be? Who are you trying to put forward to your audience, your clients, your customers? Make that choice big. Now realize they won't be able to see that. They won't be able to tell that. Yeah, you're wearing, you know, it's clearly that camo green. Yeah, you've not gone, well, I'll wear a little bit of that and then I'll cover it up with something. You've made it bold enough so we recognize it. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. It's about choice.
Yeah, that does.
Not adding other stuff.
And so then I'm curious, from the salesperson's perspective, where you see salespeople hoping that whatever they happen to put on that day, because I know you don't just deal with what people are wearing, you deal with communication as a whole topic, as a holistic thing that people do. The words they speak, the body language they have, what they're wearing, all of that putting together an impression that either influences someone positively or negatively. So I'm curious to see, in all your experience around the world, because you've been able to work in dozens of countries and with thousands of teams at this point, where do salespeople rely on hope more than they should in how they intentionally put that image together so that the prospect understands what they're about and what they're not about?
Well, I think they rely on hope, just like I do, just like probably you do. I mean, I think this is a mistake that we all make. So I'm not trying to be the great guru that has got this right. I'm just trying to advise through experience and knowledge. Is that I think all of us make the mistake to think, I think I know enough to do a pretty good job at this. So when it comes to body language, it's when you as the salesperson, you might be, listening to this right now and going, you know what, Mark, I think I know enough to do a pretty good job. I mean, I've done okay so far. I'm in this business because I was pretty good at sales. I'm always pretty good. And I think I'm okay with this. I do it all the time. I constantly go, when it comes to writing sales verbiage, I think I'm pretty good. I'm terrible. Compared to people who are brilliant at it, sure. I'm an utter novice. And every time I think that to myself, I have to go, no, Mark, this is not your expertise. You have something to learn from this. So look, I'm constantly trying to keep learning, even in my area. And I think that's the mistake that everybody makes, is not to keep on learning about this area.
And where would you see salespeople as relying on hope too much in the area that, because there's a lot of things we could deal with, right? Language, how they dress, how they show up either on Zoom or at a client site, the communication language that they use when it's just in writing, or the tone of their words. Amongst all of those, is there one area that you see really stand out and think to yourself, well, if we just did something more consistently well, it would have a massive impact down the road in converting sales?
Yeah, one specific area, which is the horizontal height at which they have their hands. So how much more specific could I be about this? Okay, and let me unpack this a little bit, and just to go backwards a little bit, to say that often as salespeople, we are in the hope in this culture that we're in right now that authenticity will win the day. Okay, if I'm a good person, I really love my product, my service, I really respect the client or the potential customer. If I just go in there and be me, build it, and they will come, the sales will happen. No, they won't. They will not come. They'll be watching Netflix. It's fantastic. Okay, Netflix is brilliant. It's Disney Channel. I mean, It's amazing. Okay, so you are in competition with people who are creating imagery and creating messaging at such a high level that you need to work out your choices and make them bigger and keep them tidy. Here's a great choice mechanism. Okay, when I'm in front of you right now on camera, because we're not live, we're not face to face, we're not in the same physical territory right now, what you'll be noticing is my hands are right up at my chest height quite a lot. Okay, that's keeping me energetic, that's keeping me lively, that's animating the frame all the time. It's going to be very difficult for you to look at anything else right now, because this frame is animated. There's always action. Animated, it's from anima, Latin, for life. It's lively right now. Look what happens if I just take my hands out of that frame. I'll try and keep the same lively voice, the same energy.
It's tough.
It's tough, isn't it? When out of the two salespeople, okay, there's this one here, and I've got product and service for you, or there's this one here, and I've got product and service for you. Who's going to win the attention? It's this one here right now, because it's simply more animated. And I only have this up at chest height because I need it to be in frame, and also when hands come to chest height, heart rate and breathing rate go up as well. It's a natural occurrence as the heart starts to fight against gravity in order to move blood to the fingers. Now, having said that, if I were sitting down in front of you in the same territory, the same space, or standing in front of you, same territory, same space, I would have my hands at exactly navel height right now, doing plenty of open palm gestures just like this. Now, not as exciting at the moment on video with you, okay, because it's not so animated and lively up here, but in front of you in the same territory, the same space, it would calm you down because this is another living human being in your territory. Okay. I need to be calm and assertive when I sell to you. There may be some areas where I want to really show the passion of it and show you excitement, but not all the time, like I probably need to do on camera with you. So look, the best thing that people can do in order to be just that little bit better, and when I say a little bit better, like a huge amount better, okay, is open palm gestures in what I call the truth plane, if you're physically with somebody, and way more passion plane up here when you're on camera. Hope that helps, Sean.
Yeah, do you see a lot of salespeople then, whether they're meeting virtually with a prospect or in person, they have almost a robotic tenor about them because they're so focused on the next thing they have to do, and all of their mental energy is kept up with all of the stuff they're supposed to accomplish there, rather than being present with that person, being animated, being active, and trying to provide whatever innovative value they can come up with right then and there, instead of, here are the 80 things I'm supposed to learn from you in order to move this deal forward.
Okay, here's what I think the most important job of a salesperson is, primarily, moment one, okay, is improve the mood of the person that you're with or people that you're with.
Ah, interesting.
Okay, number one.
Okay.
Yeah. If I get on a sales call with you via, let's just say we're doing it via this modality here, the first thing I'm trying to do before I even introduce anything of what I thought my sales process was can I put you in a better mood? I mean, I don't need to put you in a party mood. I don't need to put you in the best mood you've ever been to, but whatever mood I think you're in when we first meet, can I make it better for you? Yeah. Primary thing. And that's usually done primarily with the nonverbal behavior around somebody. Can I get you more comfortable? Can I get you feeling better? Can I get you a little bit more excited? Can I get you a little more positive about the world around you? That's primarily what I want to do, and that I'll do nonverbally.
Well, let's build a system around this, because I think that if a salesperson could show up virtually or live, and all they do in the course of that transaction is improve the mood of the person that they're speaking with, they've got a much better chance of advancing that deal than they do if I leave you more depressed, more angry, thinking, well, that was a waste of time. I feel even worse now for a variety of reasons. So when we talk about building systems in bulletproof selling, we use the same technique they use in the military. What I found, Mark, that kept these troops alive on the battlefield was they had systems to fall back on. James Clear, in a great book he wrote called Atomic Habits, said that, we're only as good as the level of our systems. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We always fall to the level of our systems. So I want to build this into a system that a salesperson can use wherever they are in the sales process when they're sitting down with that prospect, whether it's the first time or the 100th time. So when we talk about trimming hope away, because it's a military thing, we use an acronym, just like they do in the British military. So TRIM, T-R-I-M. The T in TRIM is the trigger element. So if I'm a salesperson and I'm getting ready to pull this system off the shelf, out of my bag, out of my kit, as you say in Britain, and put it to use, what's the trigger event? Is it right when I'm getting ready to talk to the prospect that I get myself in that mood first? Is it assessing what I need to know about that prospect or achieve in this meeting before I get going? What do I need to make sure is the trigger element to really get this system going?
Yeah, it's waking up that morning.
That morning, the minute you wake up. Okay.
The minute you wake up. The minute, look, Sean, you know well as I do, that there are some mornings that you wake up and you've got a client, a prospect, an event of some sort, and you're like going, this is going to be fantastic, and it is. Because you're great at your job and you've done so much work and everything is right. The client is right. You're right. It's the right day. And it's a great day, okay? But there are some days when you wake up and you go, oh no, not them. Oh,
I can't believe I took money for that.
No. And now I've got to deliver. And now I've got to deliver. Or now I've got to sell, but to them, to them, okay? And so on all of these days, you've got to do the conscious practice of starting the behaviors of improving that other person's mood. Okay. And so the moment I wake up, I'm trying to do open body language. Okay. By open body language, I mean that my body language is like if I was in front of a warm fire and I'd come from a cold environment. Okay. The British Army know this very well, Sean.
Oh, yeah.
you know, out in the Welsh Hills, say you with the
Yes.
Special Forces, out in the Welsh Hills, okay? When you hopefully get back in,
Yeah.
okay, and you've not been out all night or for 2 nights running, okay, you're going to get back in and you're going to warm yourself up in front of anything you can. Maybe it's just a hot cup of tea, okay, but you are warming yourself around that and you're open to that. And when you're with your friends, when you're with the other lads, the other women, okay, and you're there, you're going to warm yourself around them and be open. You want to start those behaviors already. So it happens the moment you wake up. Now, here's the next trigger point I want you to be really careful about. The moment you go in, the moment before you enter that meeting, whatever that meeting is, you walk into the coffee shop, the boardroom, I don't know, 3,000 people, or whatever it is. The moment before you walk on, check yourself at that moment, because that moment before that moment of truth, when you go on in front of the most threat, okay, is when you're going to start showing cold behaviors. And you won't know you're going to do it, okay? You won't know that you're already making barriers with yourself. You've got, you know, somebody's handed you a bottle of water before you present and you've already bought it in like this. You're not handling it at full arm's length away from you, so that you're always opening up. So a couple of important trigger points there, Sean. The moment you wake up, okay, and the moment you go right towards that moment of truth.
And so now we're actually in the meeting. So we've got the trigger element done. Now we're moving into the R of trim, which is making this repeatable, because I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel before every single meeting or in front of every single prospect. So what are 4 or 5 things that I can do in front of that prospect to make sure that I'm leveraging communication style well, that I'm leveraging body language, that I'm not leaving it to chance the impression that I'm making on them?
Yeah. So let's make it repeatable. You know, the thing that I told you to do when you wake up, you know, the thing that I told you to do before you go in the room, keep on doing that. Make a choice, make it bigger, keep it tidy. If you made a choice out of the room to do nice, big, open body language, stick with that choice. Don't go, oh, you know, maybe it'd be good if I just kind of did this kind of thoughtful body language while I'm hearing that question. You know, maybe it's good if I just tilt my head slightly as I'm hearing that question, you know, and pause a little. No, just always open body language, always. Yeah. If in doubt, do open body language, then do it again. Then do it again. Some more. Then do it some more. Okay. Yeah. There isn't, you might want to ask me right now, but what else should I do? Oh, no, just do that. Just do that. It will save your life every time. It will win more friends than creates enemies every time. Yes, there'll be an outlier somewhere in your life. Yeah, absolutely. But if I take open body language into the casino time and time again, I'm going to win so many more times than I ever lose.
And where does the prospect enter into this? Because remember, this system's about making the prospect elevate their state, so that however we leave that meeting, having made a sale or not, the prospect thinks, well, that was a really good meeting. Even if I didn't buy from them, I feel better. So how do I need to, or what do I need to ascertain or learn about the prospect in the meeting that will help me understand, am I raising them from a 4 to a 5, or do I have to go from a 9 to a 10?
Yeah, okay. So really, really good idea. Well, first of all, non-verbally, by the way, understand that the one thing that you're doing is leading that prospect by being clear in your communication, clear in your body language, because your body language is a choice, it's bigger and it's tidy, so they can mirror. If you are unfollowable, they cannot be led by you. And it's your job to lead them to the better place where they're going to be with the best product, service, whatever it is for them. So be a leader, okay? And they will mirror the strongest, clearest signal in the room, okay? Which is why I keep telling you, do the same behaviors, open body language, open body language, open body language, and watch them and notice how they copy you, okay? Notice how they're led by you. So I want you to do that. Here's another thing I want you to do is I want you to get them to repeat why you're there. The first question I want to ask that client, that prospect is, so just, you know, from your point of view, why did you want to have this meeting with me today? Okay, I want them to say in their out loud voice, what is up? What's going wrong? What is their desire? And what is stopping them get that desire? Because I assume I'm there to help them get their desire because there's something in the way. And I want them to name that thing in the way. And all the time they're talking to me about this, I'm doing open body language. Okay. I'm nodding approval at the barrier. I'm nodding approval that they haven't been able to solve this yet. I'm not the person there where they're going, look, our problem is we've never really had the budget to be able to tackle this problem until now. I'm not there going, oh yeah, no.
God, budget. That's tough.
Ooh, never had the budget. Oh, that's probably because you didn't have enough power. Yeah, if you'd had enough power, you'd have had the budget, but you're just a little person. Because they would construed all of that out of those negative. I'm there going, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm there to affirm who they are and where they are right now, not to criticize it, not to make them feel bad about themselves. Yeah, there's other people in their lives that will do a really good job of that. Okay. I'm there to go, yeah, I get it. This is where we are today. All I'm going to do is do my very, very best to get us further along out of this situation for you. Hope that makes sense to you, Sean.
Oh, yeah, absolutely does. So we got the trigger element, making it repeatable, a couple of great steps there. And now the thing that really made a bulletproof system bulletproof on the battlefield was that it was adaptable. We found out that the way we were fighting when our countries were at war back in 1776 and in 1812, if we kept fighting like that, it wasn't going to end well because technology advanced. So we had to update what we were doing on the battlefield. And we see the best salespeople doing that as well. So the iron trim is improving this system. So if I'm launching this trigger element at the right point, I'm moving through these repeatable steps. What do I need to be doing on a monthly or a quarterly or an annual basis to look back and say, all right, how can I make this better? Is it a question that I'm asking? Is it the way I'm asking? Is it 50% open in my body language, or is it 100%? What would you recommend salespeople do to look back and say, how do I make this even better?
Yeah. Okay. Look, really, really nice. Let me give you a couple of things here. The first thing I want you to always think about is you got to gather data around this. Okay. It's no good guessing. Okay. And what happens with the world of body language is often people do a lot of guessing because our body language is really part of our innate system. We want to think about it purposefully. So look, you want to ask maybe a partner who you were with, hey, that meeting there, what do you think I was doing that really worked about it? Did you see any way that I presented? Did you see any behaviors that you think I should repeat? Don't ask them what if you did anything wrong. Okay, because if you didn't, they'll just make something up just to placate you. Okay, they'll go, no, not really, but yeah, there was that bit in that. It's just like they'll just make something up. Ask them, what am I doing right that you think I should turn the volume up on? That's the best question. Okay, you also want to ask your client, your prospect, at the end of any meeting, any presentation, just go, look, I'm just curious, what was most useful for you about having this meeting?
Oh, that is a powerful question right there.
That is super powerful. Yeah. Because they're going to tell you in their out loud voice what your value is and potentially what the value of the product and the service really is. You want to know the truth about, and this, ultimately, Sean, is kind of an interrogation question. Okay, because it gets into the value system. Yeah. What was most valuable for you about our meeting today? And they're going to go blah, 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 blah. And you're not going to stop there. You're going to go, oh, that's really interesting. What else? Okay. Because now you're going to go deeper, deeper, deeper. And now you're going to attach the end of the meeting to that, or your follow-up to that. Because now you're going to be able to go, well, let me circle back with you next meeting about that specific value there. So look, ask people that you're with what was great about your performance and how you can amp that up, and ask the most important people in the room, the people who need help, essentially, what's already been most valuable for them. I want to give you one more thing on this, Sean, which is adaptability. It's absolutely key. You know that in a military sense. Without adaptability, you're still fighting the same war with the same weapons that you did thousands of years ago. But the thing about being very good at what you do is you tend to feel you know the answer. So it's very hard. If you're really good at this, it's very hard to be adaptable. I want to give you one easy linguistic way to be more adaptable. When you get an idea in your head and you go, oh, you know, this sales process is really working because of X, or because I did Y, or I know this kind of customer. Yeah, we should go for sales pattern G. Okay. I want you to put the word maybe after all of that. Okay. Just put the word maybe, because it means your assumption can be put on the shelf for a moment and you can just think again. It's okay. You can come back to your assumption. If I go, I know the kind of customer here, we should go for sales pattern X on this, maybe. Then I go, but what if I did sales pattern Y? Would that be useful here? And I might go, gosh, you know, thinking about it, maybe it would. Maybe it would. All right. Which one am I going to choose? So now I'm choosing. I'm not falling back on patterns. Now, I know that, you know, certainly in the military, there is this idea of, look, you fall back on your behavior at moments of crisis. Okay. And we know that those trained behaviors and best practices can absolutely save your life and save the life of the others around you. Okay. Now, at the same time, in sales, we're often not in that position of life or death. It can feel like it. I can feel like it.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not in that position. You have enough time sometimes to think again. And so adaptability is often about taking that one moment to think again and then deciding to go for the best practice, not falling back on great training, deciding to take great training. Again, I hope that makes sense.
You make a great point there, and it was something I've shared with audiences all over the country, as I know you're speaking all over the world as well. The idea that systems force us into lockstep is not something that the military ever believed in. Right. The reason that we found systems to be so valuable is because it allowed us to innovate more on the battlefield. In an incredibly complex environment like a sales call, you have a dozen things you need to learn. There's 1,000 ways this thing could go wrong. If I'm so focused on the next moment in the conversation that I lose track of something, all of a sudden my ability to innovate is gone. However, if I have those systems, those processes, I can always alter them. You're absolutely free to go off script, but there's a difference between, and I just heard this morning, listening to Louis Armstrong play jazz and to hear me play jazz. It's just going to sound like trash if I play the same instrument. It's going to sound great coming out of him because he knows how to operate within a system, and he also knows how to go off script. So look, I'm absolutely in agreement with you there.
Well, it's the same, as I've told you, my background is originally the arts. Okay. And in the arts, what we do is we have incredible structures. I mean, systematic structures in the arts, and we do practice as well. Why do we do practice? Why do you practice your instrument? Why do you practice the scales? So you can play any note possible at any possible time. You are not limited because your fingers or your mouth can do the gymnastics to get there. If you want to go there, you could get there. Okay. Why do you do music theory? In order to know the possibilities and what those possibilities mean, how they clash together, how they harmonize. Why do you do music history? To know what people did in the past. Okay, to know what the standard forms are. And why do you do all of that? Because then in the moment, you know the rules, and therefore you know you're breaking the rules, and therefore you know you're doing something creative. You know that you're going, people are going to expect this note. Nah, I'm going to give them that one. And the whole audience goes, what? Yeah. What did you do there? And it's a surprise. And that surprise reminds them that they're alive and improves their mood every time.
That's amazing.
It improves their mood.
So the trigger, repeatable, improvable. Now the final M in TRIM is making sure this thing is measurable and knowing what to measure. Because if I'm taking the work to wake up in a new way and do things differently before my meetings and run my meetings differently and then ask great questions of the people that I'm with and of my prospects or my clients, that's all going to take a little bit more mental energy than I might have been exerting before. What do you recommend we measure? Is it ask for request callback meetings? Is it, repeat meetings? Is it just gross revenue? How do I measure this to make sure that I am actually elevating the mood of the people in the room with me?
Yeah, look, with sales, there is a measurable that I think we all need to come down to, which is, are we hitting targets? And I know as well as you do that targets can be unreasonable. Okay, so are we hitting reasonable targets in a way that feels economic? What we're trying to do is improve the economics of this, energy and personality wise. Like, is every day a trial for me, or are the days starting to get a little bit smoother? The relationships become even more smoother. Is the day gliding a little better? I don't know what measurement you're going to create around that, but you need to kind of create some kind of internal or external measurement about, is the day gliding much better? Is my sales process feeling a little more economical around this? That's what I'd go for. And that little economic of always checking in with what was most useful for you, okay, and seeing what people are coming back with, seeing whether they are hitting the use case that you're trying to get from them. Are they getting that improvement? Are they going, often I'll get from people, it was just great to have a conversation with you. Okay. If you get that from your sales prospect, it was just great to have a conversation about this with you. It's like, that's a winner. Because will they take another conversation? Yes. If you bring in your technical lead and go, well, would you have a conversation with me and my technical lead? They'll go, yeah, of course. Do you think you would get your CEO in the room with us both? Yeah, I think I could do that. Because the mood is better when you're in the room with people. Again, I hope that's useful for you.
Yeah, and I love the idea of tracking as well the mood of the person when you start, however you judge that as a salesperson, and then see at the tail end, especially with that question, what was the most valuable piece of this conversation for you? And I would be willing to bet, and please disprove me here because you've had more of these than I have with that question. Do you find that they usually will jump to something that's a lot more emotionally driven than, well, I'm so glad that you explained to me the physics of how this product works? Or is it more, I feel better about this situation, or I feel like I understand it more, things that are a little bit more emotionally driven than just, now I understand how to do math?
Quite often you'll get, I just feel more relaxed about. I'm feeling more confident about. Yes, it tends to have a feeling in it. Yeah. And once they give you, see, this is key. Once they give you that feeling word, grab that feeling word. Yeah. So they go, well, I'm feeling more relaxed about this whole area now. That's great. That's great that you're feeling more relaxed. Look, I'd love to get our technical lead in because I think she'll be able to get you really relaxed.
Really relaxed. So relaxed.
Right, okay. Exactly. So now I'm escalating the idea, So really, that interrogation question, it should elicit something of a value, be it an emotional value or they're less likely to say, I really liked you telling me that it had 40 gigabytes of internal memory. Yes, that's on the spec sheet on the website.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that. I don't know why. You should know that better than I do, the salesperson, because you've already done your due diligence around that. What we're trying to do is get you comfortable with the transition from not having the best to having the best for you.
Great pitch. I love it. So that's a complete sales system in and of itself on a topic that we haven't covered yet, which is elevating the prospect's mood, how you track it, how you systemize it, how you make it repeatable. So Mark, thanks so much for sharing that with us. I know I'm excited to go out and try it. How can people find out more about you? Because you've got books, you've got courses. I mean, you've got this whole brand built up around exactly what we heard today, how to be more persuasive using these simple things that we all have access to. So how do we get deeper into your world?
Yeah, really easy. Just go along to truthplane.com, TRUTHPLANE, truthplane.com, and that will send you in all the right directions for exactly what you need.
Outstanding, Mark. Well, for those of us listening to Bulletproof Selling today, thank you so much for following us on LinkedIn and on YouTube, where all of these conversations like we had today with Mark are archived. And of course, if you're listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere that podcasts can be found, for more sales systems, just like the one you heard today in audio, written, in video form, whatever you're looking for, check out bulletproofselling.us. Well, it's been a pleasure serving the sales community today alongside Mr. Mark Bowden. Mark, let's get out there and make selling bulletproof.